over the next 10, 12 minutes maximum, I would like to just share with you some thoughts about when we started talking or thinking about what's happening within IT soft development or software development. We discovered that some people who are in the software development believe that they are doing something completely different than project management. Some actually say, don't call what we are doing project management. It is lean and agile. And my question is, okay, fine. But can we answer these questions, please? So why do projects fail? Is it because we're delivering the right project? Or is it about how we deliver the project? Are we going to keep arguing about, is it the process or the product? And is it really a matter of choice? Or it is a complementary thing? And talking about looking at the future, lean and agile, process orientation, all the nice debates that we engage in, not just listen to. Does this mean that we need to forget about traditional project management, just bin it and forget about it? And perhaps some chapters in the PMI would think about doing something else? Strategic project management, like Amos has said just a few minutes ago, and the development of the project management thought to become a vehicle for delivering strategy. So we're moving from a standstill picture to a moving particle with all the associated differences. I think this is a big and major change. And the complexity, as Dave has mentioned today, or perhaps the very sophisticated set of constraints leading to change management and leading to lean and agile. So as I said, I'm asking questions. So, is there a panacea? And perhaps, I'm not sure if all of you are aware what do you mean by panacea? It's just like the cure of all ills. So the magic. And people talk about project failure, and sometimes we perhaps need to address what makes a project successful. Perception. Sometimes, well, I'll share with you a very, very quick story. I was teaching project management class here in Dubai, and one of my students came to me. He said, well, you know, you're talking about project success. I'm a construction project manager. We finished casting the 10th floor slab. The customer asked to change the design. I said, what? He said, well, yeah, we started that we were going to deliver 10 flats per floor. He's now asking for 12 flats per floor. And he got all the documentation, including all the reports from the consultants, including all the permits from the planning authorities. I said, oh my goodness. He said, well, that's a high rise. If it is 20 floors times 2 flats, that's 40 flats. At that time, a flat would rent for 60,000 dirhams on average. That's 10,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. Annual return. Annual return. For some extra cost, yes. If you don't do this, customer will not be happy. If you do it, then the project definitely will have cost creep, time creep, and quality will not be the best because you will need to. So how can you define success? How do you define project success? Is it a different project? Yes, it is a different project. Is it customer satisfaction? Kerzner says, well, we are all working within an envelope of customer satisfaction. That's fine. So, but sometimes customers are very difficult. You guys who work with Lean and Agile and Scrum, I read about from the literature that sometimes you end up with some customer representative who has no clue or who has no authority. And then, is this becoming a facilitator or otherwise? So the iterations, and I really enjoyed Dave's comment this morning about the iteration and the linear versus the complexity. That's another interesting point. But so perception is reality. It's in marketing, we say perception is reality, and we mean the perception of the customer. And this is sort of well stated argument. But this is the question that sometimes we think about. Lean in the literature is defined as a philosophy, isn't it? Do you agree on that? Agile, is it a philosophy or a methodology? My answer is, who cares? Who cares? In a practical context, who cares? I come from a project management background. Who cares? We can start debating ontological and epistemological stances from here till the next century. Who cares? Are we interested in delivering a successful project or defining our philosophical stances? Perhaps if you're an academic like myself, you want to become a professor or perhaps a dean of the university, well, you will need to think about this. But from a practitioner point of view, perhaps I'm not sure if it really matters or not. Because as academics, yes, we tend to be, well, we call it Doctor of Philosophy. So that's why it was very interesting to see different philosophical stances presented this today. So just very quickly, because I'm aware of the time, I wanted to share with you certain three case studies that and when I say 3 case studies, it's just 1 slide per case study, so don't worry, we'll be finishing it on time, hopefully. But just look at those common factors and tell me whether you have any, I would say, comments on any of those. I think these are common factors in almost every project. And they are definitely supported by the Lean and Agile methods or methodology or whatever you may like to call it. So why to limit it to software development? We had 3 different studies, and I won't say they're just, I would say, we wanted to explore what's going on. So we looked at Lean and Agile in oil and gas sector in Nigeria, and we found that these factors were sort of recommended by every practitioner that were interviewed, and we interviewed over 15 of them, and we surveyed a number of practitioners, that these are key success factors. And you can tell that we were trying to draw the attention to the Lean and Agile. However, when it comes to self-organized teams, they thought, no, it will not work. And over 50% of them say so. Well, it reflects perhaps an organizational culture. It reflects perhaps the culture within the, it reflects perhaps the tendency towards control. It doesn't mean that Lean and Agile cannot really work within this sector. But as I said, not much work done in this sector, so perhaps it's a call for further studies within this sector. Then we looked at e-learning projects. So, well, there is an increasing or growing demand on e-learning courses, e-learning offerings from some of the best institutes all over the world. And we looked at those who are responsible for managing these projects. What are the success factors and how do they look at it? And again, these were some of the factors that were seen as influential with regard to these projects. You can see again, we're talking about many of these are factored into the Lean and Agile. However, and actually some of them said, we are already implementing some of the Scrum techniques, some of the Agile techniques, but type of client will determine the best method in most cases. And this will perhaps bring us back to the concept of the context. type of project, type of client. There is no one fit for all. It is very difficult to claim that this can be the case. Type of client. As I mentioned before, you need approval. So this was a very interesting point. Strong relationships. And I think we were just trying to be politically correct putting it this way, because you need approvals as a project manager, and regardless the methods. Then we looked at an Italian company as a case study in customized manufacturing. So they were delivering mostly through projects, or let's say more of jobs. So they were looking at, they were looking at mainly a hybrid model. So it's a combination between the traditional or the conventional and the project management methodologies, and which actually one of the interesting findings was, are we talking a binary thing, 0, 1, or is it a spectrum? And we believe that it is better to see it as a spectrum, and then perhaps decide upon where you would like to position your project. And I'm not talking about yourself, but your project on this spectrum. And it will depend on a number of factors. But in this manufacturing case, we had these factors that have been identified as perhaps some of the issues there. Unwillingness to make time to learn new systems or way of work, reluctance to change, political and power structure. So these stem more as challenges rather than success factors in this case. But it was an interesting study. So just to reflect, there are sectors that we believe the principles of Agile and even the philosophy of Lean can yield very interesting results. We believe that event management, innovation, new service development, new product development, which is already, there is a lot of work done there. Of course, construction, unfortunately, we've missed one of our presentations by Dr. Karima because she had very serious emergency, so she couldn't join us, that she had a presentation on construction, but we will share the presentation slides with you later. Change management, these are interesting sectors that we believe that the Lean and Agile can be, or let's say the tools applied in Lean and Agile can be very useful. Are there internal challenges? Yes. This is what we found as internal. Culture and perceived applicability can be significant. And as I said, we are looking at it from a very pragmatic point of view. We're not looking into it in much deeper. We definitely come from behavior school, so we are interested to look at it from based on our empirical research. External factors, yes, we have the client involvement, or client organization structure, also the sector standards, and perhaps the most interesting one was the competitors, because we're not, at the end of the day, we're in business. We need to compete. And if our competitors are beating us towards something, then yes, we need to be innovative. We need to do things perhaps our way, but we need to consider. So that's why I call these factors and not really challenges, or as we mentioned before. So our conclusions are definitely Lean and Agile as ways of managing projects can be applied beyond the software development. I believe that we are still in infant stage, and perhaps we might not go beyond there because we might find something better to spin off to. It is not a panacea. A hybrid system can be an option. When we need to move forward, which we actually need to do, we need to build on the past, because I believe that you can't drive a car by just looking forward all the time. You need to use the central mirrors, as well. And I believe that universities will have a significant role in this development, and perhaps this is part of what we are trying to do today, to try to investigate and explore and share. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this useful. Thank you. Right, so may I call our panelists, so we can switch this off now if you don't mind, and I will call our panelists, and we are honored today to have Dave, who has agreed to join our panel with the speakers, Amos and Dr. Magid and Dr. Taha. So we'll just pull the seats, and we will start by taking questions for the different presentations,